This is Laurier Golden Talks, episode 6, Laurier Life Hacks. Kick it!
I wanna talk, I wanna be your friend. I get so nervous when I meet new people, but you don't mind cause you're a nice new friend. Let's go to school and just be friendly people. I just wanna sit and talk to you. Oh my, it's fun when we're together. All right.
Welcome to another episode of Laurier Golden Talks, the first, best, and only podcast pertaining to the Laurier community. I'm one of your co-hosts, Christine, and I'll pass it to my colleagues to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Sharon.
I'm also Sharon, but I go by Yoko.
Hey, I'm Sean.
What's good, everybody? This is Craig, representing your reigning NBA Finals MVP, Kawhi Leonard. I miss you, Kawhi.
Woo? Question mark?
We all do. Well, thank you everyone for joining us in another episode. Today we're going to talk about our Laurier life hacks. So essentially our best advice that we have that we wish we would have had when we were starting university, when we were going through university. Hopefully you can find that helpful as you embark on your new journey, whether that be at Laurier, whether that be, going traveling, taking a year off, whatever that may be. This is just our best Laurier advice. Does anyone want to have just itching to get out?
Start.
Yeah, that wasn't really English. I was like,
No, it's all good. I could start. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart, and it's something that I see a lot of students struggle with, especially when they're first coming in, and everything just seems so overwhelming, and you're just not sure whether you're coming or going and what's what. But what I really would love to encourage, if I could give myself any advice when I was starting post-secondary, is go see your professors, get to know them. Go to their office hours, get to know them. They do not bite. They want to know you. You use up the resources, but start with your professors, get to know them.
That's a great life hack. So back in the day, well, not that long ago, a few years ago, they actually I would do presentations to parents. So on our Head Start days, it was like the new student orientation. We would come to campus and they'd take the students away and they go work on setting up their first year course timetable. And they basically needed to keep their parents out of the room so they didn't mess anything up. And so I got to do the presentation of how to support your Laurier student. I called it Family Matters, which I thought was kind of a clever name. Also a dated TV show, so perhaps
for the time, it was
lost on
back then.
Everybody. Anyway, the parents in the room, which this presentation was geared for, thought it was hilarious. The way that I characterized it, and I got a lot of head nods from parents, so perhaps this will resonate to some of our audience as well, is that professors are as impressed or more impressed by students who know what they don't know, with students who can demonstrate what they do. So, like, the right kind of question in terms of looking for assistance, help, clarification, that's going to earn you as much respect from your professor as someone who can rock a midterm.
Yeah. That was something that I kind of had too. Like, it's okay to ask for help, whether that's your professors, whether that's going to the writing center and like getting help on like how to do a bibliography. I was taught the hamburger essay format in high school, and I was like, great. All of my essays will, from here on out for the rest of my life, will be a hamburger. You got the bun, you got the lettuce, you got the meat, you got the bun at the bottom. And then I got to university, and literally the first thing they said was, if I see a hamburger essay, I'm going to be very mad. And I was like, okay. So I like tried to embark on this journey of like figuring out how to write a university level paper for the first time. And it did not go well. But I was so stubborn and so scared to ask for help that I just didn't. So it took me probably until third year to realize that it was okay to like go and seek these resources.
Never ran into that problem. Didn't have to write a lot of paper, but I can just like picture it being like, I love hamburgers. Dare you?
I have a clarifying question. In the hamburger essay analogy, what's the lettuce? I know what the bun and the meat are.
It was like your supporting arguments or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It was like your thesis was like, it was like your intro, your conclusion, your thesis, and then your like your supporting evidence would be like the lettuce and the tomato and the condiments, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
I remember
Okay.
those
Fair
days.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Ask for help.
Awesome.
That's about as good as any like academic. If someone's like, "How can I get help with a course?" Go talk to your professors. They want to talk to you in most cases.
Yeah.
You'd
Yeah.
be surprised.
That and go to class, which seems really self-evident, but you'd be amazed how many people just don't do the thing. University is like the one thing where the customer actually prefers to get less for what they paid for it. Anybody know how much it costs ballpark per class? So 12-week course, 3 hours a week, 2 hour-and-a-half lectures. So
I know how much one class is.
I thought it ended up
the cost,
being
no, but
like
cost per
Yeah.
lecture. So
Yeah.
how much money are you actually tossing?
the number that comes to my brain is like 50 to 60.
I think it's like 100 plus.
Oh no, that's a little high. It's
Oh.
it's about $40 a class. And that's just tuition. So that doesn't factor in like
Right.
cost and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
That is a lot when you think of it that way. Yeah.
Plus,
Which is not bad.
participation grades are easy grades to get.
Yes.
Oh yes. Just
That said, I'll be the first to say it. I'm really square. I didn't skip a class in high school, but I actually did
in
make
high school.
business decisions in university because I just couldn't rally. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of being an adult and being in charge of your own destiny.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to prioritize the midterm that you have tomorrow.
There's like a meme going around that's like, university is the only place where you skip a class to study for another class.
Or study in class for the other class.
It is kind of true.
I remember getting advice once. So I went back to school as a non-traditional student, and which I'm still doing now. But so you take a lot of online courses.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. So online courses. And I was like, right, so going to a lecture is hard enough when you're first year and you're like, there is a whole lot of other things I could be doing right now. So doing it online is like, right? Because you think you're going to be self-disciplined. But somebody kind of broke it down for me like this. You need to do 10 hours of work per week of class. And so that kind of helps you. So if you're taking 4 courses, it kind of helps, that helped me to break it down like, oh, it's like a full-time job or whatever. I need to do 10 hours a week per course. And that kind of helped me break it down. So that kind of goes into the time management thing, but yeah.
Like just because you're in, like it's so much different than high school. You're in a lecture for 3 hours and then you get to walk away. Well, no, you have 10 more hours of work you need to do.
Yes, exactly.
That's a good way to make it easy to
And
understand.
And 10 can be on the high end. So I can go anywhere from like between 7 and 10, depending on what kind of a worker you are.
That's cool. That's a good little tidbit.
Um,
For me, my university experience was shaped a lot by my like extracurriculars and things that I did outside of the classroom. So loved my degree, communication studies, forever in my heart. But a lot of what kept me, motivated was my extracurriculars. And I was not involved in high school, like wasn't kind of a wallflower, like didn't want to do anything. But my advice that I would give like myself coming from being very shy in high school would be that you'll find your people if you just stay true to who you are and what you like to be doing. So like my roommate in first year, great, wonderful person. We were like best friends, but she just did not want to join any of the clubs. She just had no interest in that and kind of kept telling me like, I don't know, I just don't like, are the cool people doing that? I was like, it's university. We're all cool. None of us are cool. It doesn't matter. There isn't like a hierarchy of coolness. But she refused to get involved. And I was like, this house council thing sounds really, really fun. And it was just what I wanted to do. Joined house council, loved it. Joined Locus, off-campus students, loved that. Was a residence life don, loved that. And through just following what I like to do, and things that I was passionate about. I have best friends for life through these, like, my extracurriculars that I did, and it was what made my university experience 10 out of 10.
I
So
agree. Like, mine is so similar to you, Christine. I was like my shy self again in high school. Like I did nothing whatsoever.
do not look at me.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to class. That was literally it. I was like, I'm going to class. I did my homework and I go to class, come home, sleep, repeat.
Yeah.
And in high school, I was like, in first year or two in university, I was kind of like, oh my goodness, like this is so weird. I kind of had that like mentality of like, oh, you know, these people are like judging me if I study by myself, you know, and like the atrium and whatnot. Who cares? You're right. There is no hierarchy. Like nobody cares. And I just wish I got involved more right away. I didn't like start stepping out of my comfort zone until like third, fourth, and even fifth year. And I wish I started right in first year. Like I feel like I missed out on 2 years of just having fun and getting involved. Like I was a part of like the emergency response team. I did that for 2 years. I wish I did undergrad.
Yeah.
Being like a breaker and just getting involved. You know, just, oh man, I just like regret not doing it my first 2 years.
On that point, there's usually like a big fair that hosts all the clubs.
Yeah.
Even if you're not super interested in checking out a bunch of clubs, I'd still say go. Worst case scenario, you end up with a bunch of free stuff. I had what I'm going to call tapestry in my res room that was actually just a Laurier towel that I got for free. You get creative with some of your decorations, but go to what it was. It was called Get Involved Fair. I think it's called something else now. But that's a good way to check out your options and get some free stuff. You like come home with like a goodie bag. It's one of those like tote bags and it's just filled to the brim with a whole bunch of free stuff and you're like, ha ha ha, I played them.
You get your eyebrows done at the Get Involved Fair. I do every year. Keep these bad boys relaxed.
Candy.
No, but like it was literally my best friend is a year older than me, and she went to Laurier a year before I did, and we were talking, and she was just back for reading week, I think, and we were just hanging out, and she was like, at Laurier, it is cool to get involved, and she said that in passing, and that literally just stuck with me for my entire, like when I was choosing universities, it stuck with me. It was for some reason she just said it in passing, and it was like this mantra that I kept with me my entire undergrad, and it informed when I was like at the Get Involved Fair, when I was in residence. It just was like that thing. I was like, just do whatever you want to do, and you're gonna be happy. You're gonna find your people. You're gonna find your crowd, and just stay true to yourself. There's just no way to mess that up.
Super true.
So this one wasn't actually when I was a student, but it's a new hack that I've discovered probably in the last 2 years at the Brantford campus. So at lunch, I like to dip out and go to the gym if I can. I don't have some of the same hair washing post-workout problems that perhaps some of the members of our group here has. So I can roll out of the shower looking better than I did when I rolled in at 8:30 in the morning. But the thing that I do now is, I mean, back in the day, you'd have to carry like a bulky thing with like wired headphones. So I never listened to my own music when I was at the gym because the technology wasn't very good. But now I listen to podcasts when I work out. So I actually do the training of my body and I get a little bit of training of my mind at the same time. This time I try, I'm like, this is going to be weird because I want to listen to like some sort of driving beat workout jam because that's what you'd be like. I don't want to listen to someone talk at me. But it really wasn't that different. And my boss gave me a mandate. She's like, I want you to work on your leadership. So I found a leadership podcast. And that way, if my workout goes a little long over lunch, I'm like, oh, she told me to carve out time in the day to actually like work on my leadership. So
Thanks a lot, Craig.
hashtag winning.
I've straight up forgot my headphones before going to the gym, and I get to the gym, realize I don't have my headphones, and not go to the gym because of that. So
Wow. Yeah.
That's really funny.
I can relate, or my workout was very short. if I don't have my original headphones to, yeah.
So this seems to be this theme of like, you know, get involved, be engaging, right? That seems to be the theme across the board. But the other is simple. This is just like a simple thing that you wouldn't think anything of, but I'm thinking as a first year. I think when I talk to students, the only time they've been mostly all over campus is when they do their campus tour. And I want to say, when you come to school, go to the different buildings, like the library and the Schlegel building, and go to the other end, like go around campus. Don't just stick in Laz Hall or wherever, but go all around campus. There's lots of things.
Actually really good advice, because now I think back to how I decided that I wanted to go to Laurier was when I was in Wilfs with my friend who was a year older than me, because I was visiting her for the weekend and she took me all through. She's like, this is where all my classes are. I was like, fun. But it was when we were like in Wilfs, and then I really felt what it was like to be like, I was like, oh, this is just like what a Thursday, Friday night is going to be like here. Like, it was so cool to like get a sense of what being a student would be like. So that's actually really good advice, and that makes sense for every place that you are looking at or visiting to make a decision.
It's also just like good to know where things are. Like, I just think it's like, oh, meet me at the library. I remember somebody said that to me, my friend, who's like my bestest friend now, but she was just, yeah, come to the library. I'm like, where the heck is the library? I know. And like, it's a small campus where you can't really get lost. Like, you just like, you're going to figure it out eventually. But it was just funny. I was like, I had no idea where like Schlegel or the library was, because I was a science kid. So I was like, atrium and science building. Like, this is my little bubble.
Yeah. Or like, Craig, on the Brantford campus, what's the thing that most students don't know where it is, but you're like, just walk there?
There's a number of really small, obscure study spaces. So study space, there's like, it's a premium sometimes at the Brantford campus. Although now that One Market's open, there is so much study, so very much study space. But there are lots of like little sort of obscure places that if you want quiet study, you can kind of dip down there and people don't necessarily know where it's at. Brantford's definitely unique though, because, well, it's good and it's bad. Because it's intermingled in the downtown, I think it's harder for first year students. But because it's a lot of like, in one campus building, there might be one lecture hall. And so the likelihood that you get to stick into one building is a little bit harder. So you're going to get bounced around no matter.
Yeah, that's a good
say like Sean would have spent all his time in Lazaretti Hall because that's where business classes are. You know, he's shaking his head at me like
wasn't built in my first 2 years, so
I would theater of the mind, Sean, theater of the mind.
more of a technically correct kind of person, you know that.
Yeah, well, it came through loud and clear just then. I got two real quick hitters and then I'll jump out for anybody else who's got some great parting advice. So one is introduce yourself to the person who makes your sandwiches. That's what I did in first year. And I had a lifelong friend through my 4 years of my undergrad. And it doesn't have to be on campus either. Like I have my go-to person at the sandwich shop on my walk from residence in fourth year. Honestly, they've been around there for a long time. They know people that you would have no idea. And just Laurier's a community, be part of that community. And it's just a really low-key, easy way of doing it. They probably won't remember your name. You probably won't remember theirs, but you'll know each other. And that'll count on a rainy Tuesday morning when things aren't awesome.
Yeah.
You can get a little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
And then the other one I would say is book an informational interview. This is something I never did, but I've actually had a couple of people book interviews with me in terms of like, I want to do what you do in your job. How does that look? And it's kind of like the talking to your professors tip that Sharon shared earlier. It's just a really, so it's cool for me. I get to share my story. I'm happy to do it. And again, you just kind of continue to network. And those are the kind of things that our career services department would encourage you to do. Get connected with them in first year. We're one of the best in the country when it comes to our career services. and then use those career services to help you land the summer job so that you don't end up in DQ like Christine did. But she still liked it. But the reality is career services might have been able to fix up that resume to get one of those previous more desirable jobs. So the career services is a great service on campus, and book an informational interview, because while you're at a university campus, you're among some of the smartest people in that city. So they're all like within walking distance from you. So walk to a couple of smart people and pick their brain.
Yeah, that's a great one.
For me, that sounds awesome. I wish I had done that.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's good.
That's actually, it's such a cool way to put it. You're around literal geniuses.
Yeah.
Like if you think of your profs and everything, I was just like,
Yeah. How did
Yeah.
you get here?
Yeah, like, or like, just to think about, okay, you're on campus with like a smorgasbord. Like, it's your oyster. Like, yeah, Craig, well done.
yeah.
There's a reason I'm in charge. Sometimes I say things that are smart. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
What's your advice? I feel like you're the most recent graduate. You might be in your reflective stage of your alumni status. What's your advice?
We've talked about getting involved a bunch, so I'll maybe leave that a little bit. I think going into first year, there were two really big pieces for me, and they're both going to seem pretty like self-explanatory. One is having friends in your program, just because sometimes there's a lot going on and it's hard to keep track of it, and having buddies is like, oh, did you do the blank that's due on Friday? Oh no, I completely slipped my mind about that. And you can't catch everything. It's not going to happen. So having some people that you can bounce ideas off of, or like, what do you think about this project or this or that, really helped me in my first year. And I think as you kind of progress into your more senior years, you get a better swing for things, and you can be a little more independent in terms of working through projects and stuff. Not that you can't do it in your first year, but it's nice to have a shoulder to lean on if you need to. That's the one that I wanted to say. The other is make your res room feel like your second home. There's been a couple of times, I know in first year, where you have a really busy day, you have a really stressful day, and sometimes you kind of just want to like get away from people and find your own space. And it helps a lot if your room kind of feels like your room, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yes.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
So
Do you have anything to add before we wrap up? Sharon, Yoko, sorry, I'm so bad for that.
No, I just like really resonated with the last two Sean said, like,
Yeah.
especially the friends in my program. Like I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have them. And they're like my best lifelong friends. Like they're going to be at my wedding. Like they're just irreplaceable. And I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Which leads me to one point. I had a very big program. So in first year, like it was pretty hard to make those tight-knit relationships. So if you don't have someone telling you when things are due, this is my number one life hack. Read your syllabus.
Oh my gosh.
They will tell you everything you need to know in that syllabus. And if you're me, you're like, okay, that's a midterm tomorrow. Okay, sweet. I should probably start studying for that. And because I'm not that great at planning ahead, so I got surprised with a few assignments and midterms in my day. Read the syllabus, put it on a calendar, put it in your personal little planner, and just really prepare so that you don't have surprise midterms, term papers, things like
I completely agree.
go find every single due date from the syllabus and write it down on the calendar.
Yeah. And I have to throw something in on the back end because this is just hilarious, because I think we could have a whole episode on syllabus, but I promise you at some point you will want your syllabus for something else. Who knows? You're going to come to Laurier. You may do something else. You might do a transfer program. You might do something somewhere else. and they're going to ask for records of your syllabus. Please keep your syllabus.
That's
Keep your
That's a
syllabus.
great point. If you want to market any individual course you take during your post-secondary in a job interview, the syllabus will tell you what you learned. And then you just like put it in your own words and then go be like, it doesn't matter as much what your degree is. You've got an undergraduate degree, which is probably a requirement for the position. And then you want to highlight a specific course, you pull out the syllabus, you give it a quick read over, and then you just talk about it in your interview. It couldn't be simpler.
Absolutely.
And in case we didn't say it enough, syllabus. The outline of your course you get at the beginning of every course, in case we didn't actually give a definition of what that was. All right, guys. Well, I feel like we're like little BuzzFeed people, like top 10 things you need to know if you're going to go to Laurier. I feel cool about that one. That was really fun. Thank you to everyone who tuned in for today's episode, Laurier Life Hacks. If you want to see our recordings, we post them on our website, wlu.ca/Laurier at home. You can also see some of our recorded webinars. If you have any questions, you want us to talk about something really badly, email us at recruiters@wlu.ca. If you want to book or look at campus, even though you can't come to see us, you can see a virtual campus tour, and you can talk with our ambassadors at wlu.ca/virtual experience. And last but not least, stay safe, stay home, and stay golden. Kick it.
I wanna talk, I wanna be your friend. I get so nervous when I meet new people, but you don't mind cause you're a nice new friend. Let's go to school and just be friendly people. I just wanna sit and talk to you. Oh my, it's fun when we're together.